Welcome back, Tasties and Taste Stats, to another episode of FTWGT Weekly. It's your boy Lenny, joined again as always with my producer extraordinaire Dante. Dante, how are we? How's it going? What's the deal?
We good. We live.
And welcome back to the program, D-Ray. D-Ray, how are you?
Good. Hi, guys.
And if you like the energy they just gave you, and you want to see us get built up by them big old brands like Delta, Boeing.
Nah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Spirit Airlines, Frontier, American, Alaska.
If you guys want some high energy, you can always just
go
get
us
over the headphones is wild.
Nice Duncan sparked energy.
Yeah, get us that caffeine fix, baby. And Dante is Blood Gang, so that hat works.
I'm pretty sure that's orange.
Dave?
Oh, now it is.
This is orange.
Dante, are you good?
I'm just saying, I thought Duncan's colors was orange. I don't know, maybe like the camera was processing the orange weird and it looked red. Whatever.
Well, if you think that orange is red and if you think red might be orange, you should go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe on this video, as well as hitting the notification bell up above. Ding. We got a great show ahead for you guys. We are going to be breaking down another movie here today, another movie theater adventure that we all had on an individual spectrum. A long one, a very long one. We're going to be talking Horizon, an American story. We are
an American saga.
Shit. We're also going to be talking
Chapter
some
1.
Summer blockbusters. We got a game in store for you, or Dave has another game in store for us. And then taste test, right?
Aye, Captain.
Do you hear somebody's fidget spinner?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Hands are empty, brothers.
Don't sound empty.
They don't sound empty at all.
Pockets ain't empty, cuz.
So let's get into Horizon. So Horizon is a Kevin Costner flick, produced and created by him. You know what I found out about this from like reading some trivia on IMDb? He's been trying to get this movie made since 1988.
That long?
Oh, yeah. Back when Westerns were actually popular. Makes sense.
I mean, they still weren't even like, they were falling off at that point already. But he couldn't get any studio to make it. And then finally he funds it himself. And it's reported he invested $38 million into this movie, but he says it's up to about $70
million. What I read on Wikipedia was it's at $100 million between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2.
I don't know if
$38 million of his money in there.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like, I don't know if he personally put in $100 million, but yeah, even if it's 38 and 70 million. I mean, the guy's been around forever. Yeah. He's got it, but like, that's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot to like put on your own. Like, I think you have to like respect like him being like, this is what I want to make at this point in my life, and like, I'll spend what I have to make it.
It's a big risk.
What has it? So it's a Western. Like that's it's kind of a throwback classic feel Western. What is it doing performance wise so far? I assume it didn't have a good weekend.
It's not looking too hot. After we just discussed the budget, it's coming out of its opening weekend with 11 mil.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Do you think that's just the genre?
I think that's a large part of it. I think also the length, the lack of buzz around it. I don't really know that there's really much marketing going on around this.
I mean, I saw a fair amount of trailers prior to movies for it. And like, I've got to say, like, for me, the trailer piqued my interest when I've seen it. And also, I think it kind of like I like that it's a throwback personally. I don't know how you guys felt about that.
Those are all very interesting points.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
I assume that you didn't get me there.
I mean, just for the people, I say you say it again. They might not have caught it.
Okay. I said for me personally, I enjoyed the genre, like the theme. I don't know how you
Okay.
guys felt.
Um, I think overall it was definitely intriguing. Um, but I almost found the story a little tough to follow.
Dave, your thoughts?
I mean, so more or less, it kind of weaved in and out of three different storylines. Um, and let me be honest, I mean, I was definitely like interested in going to see this movie based on what I'd seen from trailers. I was kind of dreading the 3 hour long runtime as I was going into it, and I was very close to kind of just skipping it because I didn't really want to sit there for 3 full hours on a Western movie, which isn't really my jam. So like I thought like might have been a little bit boring to kind of sit there for 3 hours. Not gonna lie, it did not feel like 3 hours as I was sitting in there. Like it felt kind of just like a normal runtime of like an hour and a half. Like I wouldn't say that the storyline was like incredibly like gripping, but it definitely held my interest throughout the whole way.
The reviews for this have been fairly divisive from what I've seen, and I think it's been a lot of that is like it's a long movie, and you either were your interest was kept, or some people were like it felt like a lot of filler for this movie. Like I feel like were the two main feedback points that I saw for it.
Yeah. I mean, the whole first hour of this movie, just about, you get almost no dialogue. So you just have like, I'd say 45 minutes to an hour of like, what the fuck is going on?
I don't feel like I got no dialogue.
That's like when they were like, well, there was like a little bit of dialogue, but like not a ton. Like, I don't really think you got much moving with like who the characters are to focus on and like what's going on until about an hour in.
I mean, are you talking about like
I don't.
the initial attack on the Horizon camp?
Whoa, bro. Spoilers?
I
Dude.
mean, that's in the trailer, kind of, anyways. But like, uh, I don't agree, Dante. Like, I feel like this movie was dialogue heavy the whole way through.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I wasn't paying attention the same way you guys were. I mean, like you said, people fell on two sides of this. Either they loved it or they just struggled to maintain interest in it. And I'm one of the people that struggled to maintain interest. There were definitely some high points in the movie. I think overall it was visually appealing. We had some good acting, like, you know what I mean? But just the overall story didn't really grasp me. I didn't really feel invested in too many of the characters, at least not until about halfway through, where you know you start to get a little bit more development on them. But
I think going back to
yeah,
Dave's point about like feeling the length, I'm like kind of in the middle on that because there were definitely times where I looked at my phone and I was like, wow, there's still 2 hours left of like this movie, you know? Like there was
yeah,
definitely that at times because it is a long chunk of time that you're at a movie theater for one movie, you know? And it's not like it's like Endgame or something where it's just like hitting you in the face with action and like it's something you've been building to forever, you know? Like this is the first movie in a franchise and it's 3 hours long. Like so I definitely think like the runtime is a lot, but to your point, Dave, like I never like me personally, I was pretty interested in learning about these characters. And I think the like the look and the feel of the movie on top of the fact that this isn't the genre that you get a ton of these days. Like this just felt like totally different than anything else. I mean, we're on 38 movies for the year, right? So it's hard pressed for me at this point to find a lot of things that feel completely different than other things that I'm seeing. And I felt like this just for me, like being such a throwback. And even like I grew up like with westerns on my TV a lot growing up, like with my grandparents watched a ton of them. So like it's a genre that I don't love, but it's one that I'm familiar with, and it just like felt like a very nice throwback where the action's not like fast paced or like anything, you know, like the action is a little slower and like it is more about like building tension in some of those gun fight sequences and things like that, and like dialogue building the tension as opposed to the action doing the work for it. So, um, I don't know. I got a lot out of it in that regard. You know,
I think for me it would take a second watch to really grasp it, but I don't know if I liked it enough to want to put myself through another 3 hours.
Yeah, I have two questions off of that, right? So another piece that I've seen as far as feedback to this movie is, would this have been better as a series, like as a mini series or something on like an HBO, as opposed to being a major movie where they could have broken it into episodes a bit more than doing like 3 hour stretches.
I feel like they'd have to rewrite the whole thing to do it in a series because I don't see how this breaks up into a series.
I think there's ways you could have done it.
Yeah.
And I guess we can I can break that down more in spoilers. Um, yeah, because I don't know, I think that it kind of like there's peaks to it that I think that that's where you kind of cut into an episode on it. You know, what was the other
Yeah.
thing you had said there, Dante, as far as your feedback? Because I kind of lost my train.
I don't know what part of it you're lingering on now. I mean, I felt like the story was tough to grasp.
Yeah, okay. That's so like I do agree in some regards that there is so many different characters in this. And you said it's 3 storylines, Dave. I feel like it's more like there's like 4 or 5 like different groups that you're kind of following. And some of them you get like heavy focus on, right? Like Sam Worthington's group is more heavily focused on. Costner's characters got a decent chunk of this movie. But then you have like the Native American group that is like only gets a handful of scenes in it, like that's particularly built around them not integrating in with like the white people that they're fighting, you know.
Yeah, there's kind
Or
of like there's like I guess like sub storylines, like because they kind of think of like the Native American storyline as an offshoot of the Horizon storyline, and it's the same thing to go with like the Hunters, and the back half is also just an offshoot.
but you also have like
Horizon.
Luke Wilson's group.
Well, so that is its own storyline with the wagon, for sure.
Yeah, I just think like there's like a lot of small pockets, and it's like I do think at some points it's a little hard to follow. Like I think once you get through the 3 hours, you have a pretty good understanding. But I definitely think, to like Dante's point, the first hour and a half, I don't think there's a dialogue issue. I think there's plenty of dialogue, but I think it's overwhelming in a way, bouncing.
There's almost no development because it's bouncing around so much.
They have 3 hours to give you development, right? So like I don't think you're going to get that in the first hour. In the first hour, it's just like, hey, let's introduce all of these moving parts that we're going to have through what is being called a saga, right? And I believe this is 4 parts, and and if you're getting 12 hours of this, like they're going to flesh out these characters pretty heavily over the course of that time, you know? So Dante just like got broken a little bit on the inside.
So yeah,
it was the realization that I'm gonna have to watch 12 hours of this for the sake of this podcast, and I don't really know if I want to.
So what I didn't realize going into it, I'm like looking over it, just like the synopsis. I guess the whole saga is going to be over a 15-year span.
Yeah, pre and post Civil War, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, for the most part, I think this whole first part. I mean, the main storylines I don't see being more than like a year, but obviously there was some like pre-story at the beginning that might have gone like a decade long in between.
I missed about the first like 5 to 10 minutes of this. I got to the theater a little bit late for it. Not a major spoiler, I don't think, but like basically like I got the first thing I saw is them burying like a kid.
Yeah, okay. So I can fill you in on what the first 10 minutes are later, I guess, but
so I missed.
You didn't
really
about, miss anything.
I didn't feel like I'm like in the grand scheme of a 3 hour movie. I was like, I don't feel like I missed a ton.
Because what I gather is that they were like the start of what they were calling that a town.
Yeah,
and so you were just kind of missed like the first 10 minutes of them showing them there, and then them getting discovered and slaughtered.
The idea is, I think they were the ones who created the Horizon.
Well, so are we actually at Horizon? So Are we at Horizon yet? Because I feel like Giovanni Ribisi like sets up Horizon kind of with the stuff at the end.
I would say we are. I think that's the whole point. Is that
At least the stuff I saw was all the signs of them being told to go to Horizon.
I thought it ended with a new sign
that was being printed off. But well,
yeah, that didn't. No, the end of it was like a different sign that didn't say Horizon, right?
Right.
No, okay.
Because Horizon was that one place by the river.
Interesting. Okay. So like that's where I think like some of this, to your point, Dante, you said this earlier, like a second rewatch. I think there's even more that I would pick up on now that I'm not trying to keep up with being like, okay, who's this character? Like, who's this character? What's going on with this group over here? Like, there
was a lot of points where like people came up on the screen and I was like, fuck, that character looks familiar. I've seen them before and I don't know where in this movie they fit in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is a little bit disorienting, but I think it's kind of cool in a way because it's just not like the same type of filmmaking that you're getting out of any other movies. I think it's asking you as the audience to like be committed to that character development, like over the course of all of these movies.
That's why like my overall impression coming out of this movie was like, damn, I think it's a good movie. I think I just didn't get it.
Okay.
And that's where I kind of get back to the whole, like, maybe I need a second rewatch, but after my initial impression, I don't know if I want to rewatch it. Again, 3 hours is a lot of time to invest.
Well, I think it's going to be something to me. I wouldn't go to the theaters to rewatch this, but I am interested. This is one of those ones where I think you could watch, and this is where I think it could lend to being a TV series or being watched in the theater. I think for the landscapes and everything that you get, it's really visually nice. Like it's filmed in Utah. I guess he built sets just out in Utah, bought a bunch of land and built sets on them. And I thought that like visually it's very nice, but I think that like it translates well to me watching it at home. And I think also when you're watching it at home, it's not something you have to feel like you have to watch all 3 hours straight through, you know?
Fair enough. If like the 3 hours is broken into like a 6-part series or something.
Well, I like even if you do an hour at a time, you know?
Yeah.
I want to just get into spoilers because I feel like I can't really talk totally in detail. So like for me, I definitely recommend the movie. Again, like whether you want to wait for what's going to probably be 3 weeks until it's on digital of some sort, or if you want to go to the theater for it, it is a lot to invest into the theater. So I think that it makes sense that it's struggling and it's hard for me to tell somebody go dedicate 3 hours to this unless it's like you really want to get like that throwback genre feel. But I liked the movie. Thumbs up for me.
No. Do you think that they'll continue to run part 1 when part 2 comes out?
No, I just don't think that that's the way the theaters work anymore. And I think you're going to have so many movies coming out over the next month through July that there's no way that this makes it through because you're eating up 3 hours is large chunks of time that they could make more money off of movies that are an hour and a half long based on the showings, you know?
True.
Ultimately, I don't think it comes down to the length as much as it comes down to it only made 11 million its opening weekend, so it's not a largely successful movie to eat up all that time. I don't even think it's going to be running, up to a week before part 2 comes out. I think it'll be out of theaters a lot sooner.
Yeah, I think the only thing that it could be interesting in this is that where it's being produced by Kevin Costner, is it up to him how long? Because it's like it's the production companies that are putting movies to streaming as fast as they are. That's not necessarily
they're choosing putting it to streaming, but I don't think it's the movie theaters. I don't think it's them deciding how long it stays in the movie theaters.
Yeah,
I think that comes up to the overall box office success.
I just wonder if he would try to keep this exclusively in the theater for longer to try and recoup more of his money, or if it's beneficial for him to push this out to streaming. To try it, because maybe the thought now is get this to streaming so more people watch it, so maybe they want to see part 2 since it is coming out so soon. I mean, you're talking August, so like the sooner you get it to streaming, maybe you get it in front of more eyes. You get people that are interested. Did you guys? So my theater was all like there's probably like 8 people in the theater with me, and 6 of the 8 were all like elderly.
So when I went, I mean, not a lot of people like me are masochists that want to go see a 3-hour movie at 9 o'clock at night, but there was only 3 other people in there. There was one like older guy, probably like mid-50s, and then a couple probably in their 30s.
How about you?
When
Ian?
so I just saw this earlier today at noon, and I bought my ticket like 20 minutes beforehand on the app. And when I went to go purchase the ticket, I was the only seat selection. I was like, all right, cool. I get a movie theater to myself. But no, there was about 8 people. And yeah, I had like one elderly lady out back who helped open the door for me. But
Anytime you
Subtle
think you got a
brag.
theater to yourself, you're almost getting set up for an awkward situation where there's like one other person in there.
The I wonder if the other part of the performance on this is that because of the genre, it caps the age that you're going to get people. Because like I don't think that there's a ton of like 20-year-olds that are saying like, let me go watch this like Western. Like they've probably never even seen a Western in their life. Like because this genre hasn't been touched really in major movies in a very long time.
Well, I think the other thing too is like this movie isn't an attempt to rejuvenate the genre as much as it seems like an attempt to preserve it. And so like if you don't
Mhm.
have any draw to westerns already, that which I can't imagine too many people are like, I shouldn't say too many people, but I don't think the majority of people are really drawn to that genre anymore, so that probably hurts it too.
Also, yeah, it's 100% what I'm saying. Like, it's like, do you think a person who was born in like 2004 has seen a Western in their life? No,
Don't know who Tonto is?
because there's very little that have come out. Like, there's a few decent ones that have come out. I think of like 310 to Yuma.
I know that was a good one, but that's almost something that like rejuvenates westerns. Like I don't think it was made in like the traditional sense of westerns outside of
Yeah,
like the setting.
you have like Hell or High Water. I think's another one. Um, I mean, we talked about True Grit a few weeks ago, but that's like 2000. Like that was pretty long ago too. Yeah, you just don't like this isn't a genre that you get very much out of, and like I think that like anybody younger, you're just kind of cutting off the age. Like you're probably talking 30 and above, 35 and above for the interest level in this movie that you're going to peak anything out of.
I mean, the other thing too is while you're listing off westerns, you got to mention Wild Wild West.
97 though, that's what I'm saying. That like predates any of this,
Fair.
like that, and even that, like that's like so far from a traditional Western. Like I could have said like Shanghai Noon too, I guess, like if I
Uh,
wanted to throw
uh,
those out there. Cool. 3, 2, 1. Spoiler. I guess to get more into detail, like let's talk about like what storylines were most interesting since there were so many of them for us.
I definitely think the most interesting storyline was I forget the character names, but the dude and the girl.
Costner, yeah.
Yeah,
Costner himself, yeah. Like
yeah, yeah.
I would tend to agree that I would say that and the Sam Worthington stuff was like the most interesting. And I like the Sam Worthington stuff. I don't think with Dante, you don't know who that is.
Thank
That's
you.
like the army like group or like the formal
Oh,
like
okay, the
military group.
lieutenant, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Okay.
say the Sam Worthington stuff. I really don't feel like that's even close
I
to
didn't.
like his storyline. It's all about
The
Sienna
girl
Miller
and
character. Yeah,
yeah,
Frances.
and the daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So while that's definitely more about the girl and the daughter, that's another part of the storyline where I just feel like I didn't get enough of that story to even understand like why was everybody like so obsessed with them there.
What do you mean?
Like they were all like catering to them. Like remember when they were like taking the bed and it was like, oh, once she hears who it's for, she'll chill out. Like what was their draw to them? Like they found them in a ditch.
Their
I mean, I
whole
think
family died, and
yeah,
no,
I think they
So
found
it's more so just catering to what they went through.
Yeah.
I think it's feeling like it's human emotion. Like it's like they felt bad because their family died and they also survived underground. Like out of all those people, like a lot of those people that survived from that group were the ones that like ran, right, and got up to the hills. Um,
Yeah.
and then they lived because they like were able to fucking shove a gun through the ground to be able to breathe until somebody found them. I just think that like that's why. And she was very young. Uh, and like they're very nice to them. And I think also it's a hot mom. So that probably helped a bit too.
Yeah.
A hot widowed mom,
Jesus Christ.
Oh, she's open for the taking, you're saying, huh? um,
There's a
and
new genre now, widow milfs.
I think that like they, even with that story, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm not saying so much what I got in this movie is what interests me, but I feel like they're just going to be a major player because they're the biggest force, like right, like that's there.
I think
to
they
see
had the
where it
most
goes.
emotional draw throughout the whole movie was basically those two for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, like the scene when they come out and like they're identifying the bodies was pretty emotional. Then I even feel like in like a somewhat like happy sense, the scene when all the soldiers are getting called away for the Civil War,
And she gives them the
she does like
things.
ribbons, yeah.
Yeah, and then the speech, Michael Roker, I believe is his name, Walking Dead guy, like when he's just like that's the kind of thing that like will get these guys to fight harder, and like you're gonna find that they die with the thing in their hands, like because it's something that they believe in, you know. But yeah, I thought all of their stuff was pretty powerful. Yeah, so like I'm interested to see where they progress. The Costner thing is definitely the most interesting, and it should be. It's his movie, you know. Like I get why that would kind of play out that way. I thought the scene, uh, first of all, that family that's like chasing down that kid, I'm interested in them by themselves. Like that guy looks massive. Like the whoever like kind of the head son is
Yeah.
kind of a beast. I also like loved the scene walking up the hill, like the shitty crazy son walking up the hill with Costner. I thought like because it's just like that's where like I was saying earlier, this movie doesn't build tension through the fights themselves. It's you knowing that they're walking up the hill going to the same place, even though like and like they're both slowly realizing and they're just kind of playing chess with each other, like walking up this hill, figuring out like what kind of person they are, you know. And like you as the audience member knowing more than them as the characters, so you're kind of watching it build to that point where you know inevitably like it's going to end the way it ended, you know.
Yeah, did you ever play Red Dead Redemption 2?
No.
No. It's like
No, sir.
kind of like a semi like main character, but I guess he's like a side character. Oh, literally, I just had his name in my head. But the younger brother that ends up like dueling with Costner, Micah is the name of the character. I was just getting Micah vibes from this game, where it was just this kind of just like absolute
Little unhinged,
shithead,
like
unhinged, kind of like always like going off on his own and getting into trouble, for, like for like the gang and whatnot.
the guy he kills in the barn, like not the barn, the house, the husband to the woman that they're following.
Oh yeah.
That guy's a fucking idiot, right?
Yeah.
Like no problem with him not.
Read the room.
Yeah.
It's like, dog, just shut the fuck up.
Like he's still trying to talk to them about like we're here for a deal, where it's very evident through what they're talking about that they don't.
They're not there for the deal. Yeah, the deal was just a device to get there.
Yeah, like they could not make it more clear that they're there for the girl, and he's like, no, but I set up the meeting. And it's like, dude, you're not that important.
So that was another thing too, where like when we first see that couple together, it took me a second. It actually took me until they showed up to click that, oh, she's the one that killed the father or shot the father. I guess he's not dead, but
I mean, I don't think they give you a really good close up of her in the original scenes when she takes the child and shoots the guy.
no, they definitely went up on her face.
But yeah, they did. I think she looks
familiar. But
she looks a bit different. She
Yeah.
looks a little bit different.
Maybe she was blonde in the scene. I don't know. I don't remember.
But I knew when I saw the kid, like when we got back to the house and the kid was there, that was that kid.
Yeah. I guess it was never answered, but do you think that when we walked away from that storyline, they killed her because she just never showed up later on back in like the Montana house or Montana territory house?
I don't think so. Like because it just doesn't really make sense. Like because she's like she was saying don't bring me back to him, right? Like so, but I feel like they were definitely going to bring her back.
But they also made it evident that like she wasn't their goal; the child was.
Yeah,
but she was the shooter, so they still probably wanted, revenge or whatever on her.
I mean, they could have gotten that by killing her there.
Yeah.
But I just assume
she was
But
left
maybe
with
bring her back as like a trophy for the mother or whatever.
she was left for like the smarter and less unhinged brother. So like I don't think he would have made the play to just kill her like the other guy would. But then again, like I said, she just didn't show up ever again.
But I think if they were going to kill her, they would have shown that.
Yeah, she didn't die on screen, so we got to assume she's alive.
Yeah, I think they would have shown that. Another one that interests me is the Luke Wilson storyline, like that whole like Oregon Trail style shit of them, like the wagons making their way through. Like I think that storyline is fairly interesting, just with like those two dudes that very much clearly are like, we don't fuck with this, and are like.
So like that's another huge question, right? And that's where I'm saying like I don't think I caught everything. Like I don't even get how that started. Like where'd they come from?
You're kind of just dropped into it, and I think because the first thing you get is the scene with the wagon with the wheel needing to be fixed, right? Is the first scene you get of them. Like I don't think that they're meant to be like established. It's kind of like, again, like, hey, we're gonna have a lot of time to establish who these characters are, so they just drop you in like into their trek of where, like, you don't even really know where they're going. You just know they're going somewhere, you know?
Yeah. So like when I mean, I guess I'd have to preface, but I think that it's the weakest of the storylines, and it's the one that I kind of really didn't care so much about because none of the characters that are introduced, I feel like there was any sort of connection to.
I like Luke Wilson and I like the girl.
But I mean, the story obviously, like you said, starts off with like the wagons breaking down and like the whole issue with the horse. And I think one of the strongest scenes of that is when like the girl's cutting off the horse, and you have like the bigger, stronger dude who's basically underneath the wagon, just trying to prop it up like with his entire body. And like he steps up and out, and you get like 3 or 4 people who are like congratulating and thanking him, and kind of like just giving him like a pat on the shoulder. And like you see his reaction was kind of like confusion, like why do these people like me, like why are they thanking me? And
I think it's weird because you're kind of set up to think like based on that he's going to be a good guy too, right? Like he does like a heroic thing, you know.
And then all of a sudden, just like later on, he's just kind of, it shows that he's like on the outs of the whole group, and he doesn't really, I don't know if he thinks that he fits in or belong, but he's obviously just like, these two guys are kind of just on their own with this group.
Yeah, you don't really know how long they've been a part of the group or anything like that, you know. I don't know. I'm like I think it's interesting only because like I think that there's characters for them to grow. Like you've established like the girl and the guy, the artist, and then the girl with the water or whatever, as being like, you know, like the kind of rich, like don't want to take part in doing anything. And I think it's interesting to see where their characters, if they're going to evolve like throughout this.
But like that's another one where it's like, okay, that's clearly the aura around them, but like how'd they get here?
Yeah,
and I just don't know if you're going to get a backstory.
You might, or it's just you're again like maybe the development of them is them becoming more assimilated into like what that culture is, as opposed to who they were, however, before they got there. You know?
It's just it's the rush of the westward expansion. People just want to go out, start their own lives, and just claim their own land. That's pretty much what every character's backstory is in this area.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. One that threw me off a bit is the bartering scene, with the kid.
Yeah.
Like that's a group that I didn't understand where they came from, and I assume it might be they might have been the group from the first 10 minutes. If I had to guess that I missed.
So I was a little bit confused at first with that. That group kind of came to being after the initial like raising, like and burning down of that Horizon town. They kind of came in from outwards and were like, oh, all right, we heard what happened. We want to help and hunt down those who did it.
Okay, so they were the other group that was there with Sam Worthington's like military that he tried to get them to join them.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, because you keep referring back to the first 10 minutes, and really all you missed with that was like they were starting to establish the town, and there was like the guy that was like setting up posts and lines. Like I assume he was trying to like map out how to build a house there.
Yeah.
And and then there's the kid and I think like one or two other people. And then you see the Apaches come up over the ridge and they're kind of like watching them, and then they don't show them get slaughtered. It just pans to like the next scene where they're basically dead.
Got it. Okay.
It shows another guy who's I saw like that initial family I think is
The start of the
there
Horizon
was
Town,
two
I think.
families and it was the start of the Horizon movement for like those posters and I think they were the first settlers to get there and they were kind of starting and then they, like Dante said, the Apaches show up. It doesn't show you anything, and then it's another guy who's just on his own looking for. He has the poster and he's looking for.
Oh
him.
yeah.
And then he comes across. He actually passes through, doesn't realize it because it's raining and he doesn't see anything. Gets told by like another guy, "Hey, it was like 5 miles back down the road." So he goes back, and that's when he finds the dead kids and whatever, and he basically digs three graves for the family and whatnot.
And that's the graves that you see on the edge of the
That
water.
they point to later on. Yeah,
I got it. Okay. Because I didn't necessarily understand the motivations of that group because they're like we're hunting for the people who killed our people, basically, right? But it leads to one of the more like I think it's like an interesting scene. That kid's interesting to me because like he doesn't want to shoot the Indian guy or Native American. I don't know if in this context I can say that word or if it's inappropriate.
In the movie they were calling them Indians.
Okay. So it's appropriate. So like he doesn't want to shoot that guy in the trade room, right? Like doesn't want to do it there. Gets out into like they're talking about like, all right, you say you only want to kill the ones that killed your people, but I could count on my hand 5 different groups that we could have killed already, basically, and you have all those bullets that you're not using. We could build an army with it essentially to kill more of them. And the kid is the one who's like, yeah, no, we want to do that. Right. Yeah. But then when they go to actually do it, the kid again is the one who's like torn up by the whole idea. And I get like he's a child, but I'm kind of like, dude, like this is your fault. Like this wouldn't, if you had said like, we're only going to kill this one group, like this doesn't happen. So it's 100% your fault.
But can you blame the kid when he's surrounded by a bunch of adults that are mature enough to make a decision for themselves? Like the kid clearly was just impassioned by the influence he was getting from those around him. And when it came time to pull the trigger, he just didn't have the guts to do it. But
yeah, so I just wonder what the development is going to be for a character like that for these movies,
Well, I think they're drawing up his character to like he obviously like was devastated by the attack. He initially wanted revenge, but now what he sees, what revenge consists of, it looks pretty clear like he's just not interested in what's happening. And I guess like with that group, like the other confusing part to me was like the initial conversation, like when they were splitting off with Sam Worthington's group, was they were kind of talking about like bounties essentially on who they were killing.
Yeah.
And it was just like, obviously like they're scalping the Americans' heads, and it's like I guess they were having the conversation of like, yeah, who can tell the difference of like a man versus a woman scalp, and then they were talking about like Native American versus like a Mexican, like so like they're just gonna run down and kill people and scalp them and claim bounties, even though it's like not necessarily who the bounty is for. But then I guess I never connected the dots to who the hell is paying this bounty.
Yeah, who are they bringing these back to?
Yeah,
paid off by. And maybe that's something we get upcoming, because it seems like there's going to be some money players based on the montage at the end that you're going to get in the upcoming movies. The one last one I want to talk about again is the doubling back to the Costner storyline. So obviously we talked about the initial meeting with the girl, working up to the cabin, and he ends up saving the girl and her kid. And they end up finding this small it's not a civilization because it's such a small group of people, but it's like they end up just kind of working there. do we like that girl or do we not like that girl?
I mean,
Which girl?
I liked her.
The one
Marigold?
that Marigold, the one with the kid that Costner's with.
I don't think we like her.
I liked her a lot.
She's nice to look at, but I think she's ultimately going to double cross him.
Sure, he did.
I mean, she left.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Like, I think that that's where it's kind of you're torn on it, because I think her character is interesting, and I think that that's where it's like 3 hours you're able to get, like, there were some characters you don't have enough depth on yet, and there's
Yeah.
still a lot of time to get more progression from their characters. But I think, like, with the way they built their stories in particular, like, you were able to get her motivations and her fears out pretty well. Like, I thought it was off-putting when it's like the last scene you get is them at this campfire, and he's like, or building a fire for him, and they get in this argument, and she's like, I'll be better tomorrow, and he's going out and like working for her so that they can get money to like build a better life for like her and the kid. And then the next scene you get with them is her just putting her clothes on from fucking some rando, and you don't know how, it seems like she's been fucking him for a little while too.
Yeah,
right?
so I was gonna say, like, it almost seems like he's not a rando, like she knows him.
Like but I think it's like we don't know how long they had been at that plot of land.
Okay, I appreciate you guys saying that, because I kind of went to the bathroom in between those two scenes, and I was extremely lost with how much information this guy knew about her as they were
They didn't
getting
establish
dressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're kind of just left to assume that, like, you're either trying to figure out if it's somebody she already knew, or like, so it's either a person who came through the town that she was living in, that she was clearly like a prostitute of some sort in.
A lady of the night.
Yeah. I don't know if they just fuck in the night in those towns. Or it's somebody that they had been there for long enough that she had been with him a couple of times, and he felt comfortable enough to basically just tear her down, and plants this seed in her head of like, you'll never be good enough for this kid, and
No.
is this guy really the cut type that you're going to try and build like a life with? You're going to change for him. Like, you're not going to change for him, and puts those thoughts into his head. But I think because of that, like, I think you were able to get more of an emotional attachment to her, because you want to see her eventually probably make the right decision here. It's crazy. She just left the kid with a random and like writes him a letter that we didn't even get to read what the letter said. I wish that was like given to us,
I mean, and then like, not for nothing too, is like, there's really no explanation to, like, she ultimately has no connection to this child. I don't know if she just lives in this house that, like, the initial girl who ran away with the kid,
because they were just
also
friends or relatives. Like,
I think
I don't think they were even related. I think
No.
she just hired her to babysit.
yeah, I think she just partially lived in the house and like
I don't
brought
think
in
she
money.
lived there.
No.
I think she went there to watch the kid.
no, I think that they had established that.
They had established that she like, the prostitute brings more money into the house than the guy did.
Yeah, they talk about
through her. Yeah.
And like, I think in the post office scene, she establishes their relationship in some way. I just can't remember exactly what she says about it, because she's like, it's not my kid, it's like so and so,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that because that storyline probably got some of the biggest like focus. Like, I think you got a good attachment to those characters. The one last group I want to talk about is the actual Native American group themselves, because we got very little focus, but I thought that one major scene that we got was a pretty good establishment of what the other side
You
is
talking about
looking
the
at.
scene where they divided?
Yeah, like up on the hill or whatever,
Yeah.
with like the elder being like, I think like what he said is kind of establishing what this whole movie is, right? Like, and it's war in general. It's like, you didn't have to kill those people because you might have killed their fathers, but now their kids are going to grow older and they're going to kill you, and then your kids are going to kill them, and like, it's just a never-ending cycle that you're creating by killing people that you didn't need to kill. Like,
Well, I think one of the specifics there is, like, he was saying, they're going to come to kill you, but they're not going to know who you are, so they're going to kill everyone that looks like you. So ultimately, they're coming for all of us now because of your actions.
Yeah. And I thought that like that whole thing is super interesting. And you kind of another thing you get from the montage is you see the young girl, Francis's daughter, is with that young Native American kid in the montage quite a bit.
Yeah, the one with the bowler hat.
Yeah. So like you can tell that like they're coming from a world of peace, and like you're gonna probably get some type of cohesion between those groups. And it's already been established because there's Native American people in the like are they army, military? Like what do we consider them? Rangers?
They're U.S. Army.
Yeah, US Army. Okay.
Yeah.
Like so there was Native Americans in the US Army there, right? So like they've already established like they don't have those lines like where it's like us or
Another thing with that kid too is they showed like he was kind of like hesitant throughout the movie with everything they were doing, so they kind of set it up for him to want to split off.
well, I think it was like he was torn between staying with like I don't know if it's his grandfather or his father or going I don't know his relation to the leader of the group that was separating off. I don't know if I missed that establishment, but like he definitely seemed conflicted about what side. Like he was hurt by them leaving.
Well, I think
Yeah.
so. Obviously, like once again, they don't really give full answers, but like I don't know if he might be like part white and part Native American, or
'Cause of the
he
hat?
was like raised by maybe like a like white American family. Well,
Why
no,
do you say that?
because
His
he
hat.
made comments, basically like, thank you for like talking to me in my original like tongue or whatever, and then like they
Mm.
start talking to each other in English. Like,
Mm.
I appreciate you talking to me like with my original words.
Yeah, I, I, where do you think this is going? Is this building to where all of these stories are going to intersect by the end of this, or like are we going to have finality for each individual storyline? Like where over like these
I
four
I
movies do you
don't
think they're going?
I don't think you tell a movie like this with all these separate storylines unless they intersect at some point.
Yeah,
Because
I think it definitely since seeing as like there's like kind of like one static group in the same area, and then you have like two other groups that are basically moving. I do think that those two other groups will get to that horizon area, obviously, where like the US Army can.
then like I had mentioned the Giovanni Ribisi stuff earlier. He's the one who is in like the much more established city in the montage, who's in like the printing the new flyers like off. Like he's the one in that. And you can just tell like when they look outside there that there's like it looks like it's an actual city to a point that he's in, like a very established one. And I don't know, but like did you like I got the vibe that he was kind of a bad guy from what I was watching. But I can't like they didn't give any dialogue, but like just his like ambiance felt like he was a bad guy.
I got absolutely no inference
Yeah.
into what his character was.
No.
Looks like we're gonna get a lot of like Costner's characters fucking people up in that montage, dude. Like he's in some shit. Did you like ending it with a montage instead of making us wait 3 weeks and dropping like a trailer? Just ending the movie with like, here's 2 minutes of what you're gonna get.
I like the idea of it, but it took me a minute to realize like the montage was for what's to come. And so I was like, great, this movie's just confusing me even fucking more. But I mean, ultimately I don't think I hate that, no.
Like you're gonna have a lot of stuff. We want you to come see more of this. We are building a lot here. Like this is a lot of just build to the story in this movie. So this is the stuff like that we're gonna get more into the bulk of like the action
Yeah.
in the next.
Basically, it's trying to capture the audience from chapter 1 and bring them over to chapter 2 to try and push
Yeah.
the success of the movie. And I think that's not a bad device to use.
No.
And I get it. I didn't like it.
No. Why not?
I don't know. It was just kind of, I don't know. Personally, I think it was just kind of stupid and lazy. I don't know.
But is it any different where you have 6 weeks in between movies? Is it any different than them giving you a trailer in 3 weeks that just drops on YouTube?
No.
Or before a movie
I almost thought of it as like, as you were explaining it, I thought of it as like a TV show that ends and then you know how like after the credits they'll give you the preview to the next episode kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
or
tune
just
in
a
next week kind
or
of
just
thing.
a movie post credit in general, right?
I
Like, where it's
never
supposed
watched
to-
those either, anyways.
But like you stick around for movie post credits, right?
I mean, that's different. That's not just showing you the next movie.
It's giving you a hint as to what the next movie is going to be.
Right, it's giving you a hint, but that hint that you're watching post credit isn't going to be a scene in the next movie. They just basically showed us clips of the next movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think you got like 2 minutes of like 6 hours of movies coming up, you know? Like I
don't think it spoiled anything ultimately.
no, because I think you still need to know what the characters like, how they got to where they are. Like Costner's is Costner out looking for that girl? Like, what's going on there? You know, like, so like I think they gave you a lot of like things to ask or questions to have for things coming up. Introducing a new character.
The problem is they gave you too many questions to ask because I already left this with questions before that montage.
Yeah. All right, let's rank this thing. I feel like I have this rated probably too high. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I have it rated probably too low.
Dave, did you rank it on yours?
Yep.
Okay. So for starters, I gave it 3.5 stars.
So that was a tough one for me, right? Because I gave it 3 stars. And ultimately I feel like it deserved 3.5. But like I said initially, I kind of went through this movie like, fuck, it was tough to follow. I don't really know what's going on. And like my basically impression of it leaving it was, I just don't know if I got it. Yeah. Like I feel like it was a great movie. I just don't know if I got it. And now that we've sat here and kind of fleshed it out and I kind of have a better understanding of what I watched, I should move it up to 3.5 stars. I just don't know where it would land.
I think that for the 3.5, at least for me, like first and foremost, like I talked about at the beginning, I appreciate how different it is from everything else I've gotten this year. I thought like visually it's really good. I think it was really well acted the whole way through. And there's such a large depth of characters that you're able to see throughout it that like you're going to have different levels of interest from character to character. And like there's going to be ones you dislike, like there's going to be ones you care about more than you care about other ones. But they're able to do that by giving you a 3-hour movie with like so many characters that are able to get focus and dialogue and like different things. So like I just appreciated the storytelling aspects on top of the fact that it's just 100% a different type of movie than I've gotten from anything else this year.
It's definitely very different. And I think it'll take until at least chapter 2 to kind of make it make more sense for me. Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that kind of ties a lot more together and gives me a little bit more cohesion as to the direction of the story they're trying to tell. But
I wonder what this will be like once all 4 are out and like you're like people haven't seen it and they sit down and just watch all 4 as like a cohesive piece of work, you know?
Anybody that sits down and binges all 4 in a row is a fucking psychopath.
But maybe you don't do that. Maybe that's where you break it up into like you think about like what was it on net, like 4 years after it came out, like Hateful Eight, didn't that get broken up into like a mini series instead of a movie? I think they re-released it.
Yeah.
Because it was like 4 hours long or something.
How many times have you or like people who have sat down and watched entire like 10 episode run of something that's an hour long each? Like it's
not that much different. Yeah. You're right.
I think that gives you more cut points though than 4 3-hour long movies.
But like I was saying earlier, like I think like this, like episode 1 for this, you build up to where Costner shoots the guy on the top of the hill. And if you were to cut right there, I think you're at a perfect stopping point where you're like, it's built to this major moment. Okay, stop. Like, what's going to happen next? You know, and then you build up again, and there's probably another action point that you could get to that you stop in the next hour. You know.
Yeah.
Dave, what did you give it a star rating?
Yeah. So I gave it 4.
Okay.
I like that. I mean, like I said, I was really into it from start to finish, being 3 hours. Like, I think I looked at my phone twice, and it was just like, all right, like, and first time I looked at my phone was like 2 hours into it. So I was like, oh shit, like I've only got an hour left. And I looked at it again. I was like, oh, there's only 20 minutes left. I was like, damn, like what the hell's gonna happen? So like I was pretty captivated from start to finish.
Yeah, and like I think it's relative in some ways because like I think mine's adjusted based on the movies around it and what I've ranked them, right? Like, so that's where the 3.5 stars comes from. So I dropped it in at 6 on my list.
Obviously, my list is a lot smaller than your guys's, but I have it at 3.
How long's your list again?
It is now 10, which I might need to look at adding a couple more movies onto this. But right now, it's just
And which 2 do you have in front of it?
Fall Guys and Dune Part 2.
Okay. So I still have Fall Guys behind this by a couple movies. And Dante, how about you? Because you said you ranked it lower.
So I do have to move it, but I think I also have to look at moving Quiet Place, because I have it right behind Quiet Place at 3 stars, so it's 13th on my list. And I think I still liked Quiet Place more than this. I mean, like, it comes down to a balance of like how good of a movie it was, did it do what it set out to do, but also like my enjoyment plays a large factor to it. And again, I just don't think I got a ton of enjoyment out of the movie, at least on my first watch. I feel like I came out with more questions than answers, and that kind of frustrated me. I don't know. I almost feel like I have to watch it a second time to properly rank it.
So to be fair, I have Quiet Place ranked in front of this.
Okay, cool.
So I have Quiet Place at 5.
Okay.
And so they're both 3.5 star movies to me. Because I think, to your point, Dante, I think enjoyment does come into this, and like I really enjoyed the viewing experience of Quiet Place, for different reasons, 100% different reasons, So like I have it at 6, and I still have I have Dune 2 as my best movie of the year. I still have Bad Boys: Ride or Die as number 2, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Furiosa, Quiet Place, and then this. And this bumped down Civil War and like Ungentlemanly Warfare. I mean, I think that we're all pretty much on the same plane there. I think, like, I understand why yours is lower, and again, like, I don't think you're bringing up any gripes that aren't fair, just based on like it's like pretty in line with the criticisms I think I've seen. If you were to go to Letterboxd and just read stuff on this movie, I think that like the reviews are pretty in line with either the way that like myself or Dave feels, or some of the ways that you are feeling.
Yeah, I think this is the type of movie that it can do a lot more for me if I watch some of those like YouTube breakdown videos where they're like, oh, this is what you might have missed, or this is the lore behind it, and kind of pull me back into like, oh shit, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is the experience I want to get out of this. This is what I missed. I think that would make me appreciate and enjoy it a lot more. Like, going back to like Dune still being, like number 1 movie of the year for me. That largely came from me doing exactly that. Is kind of like, I knew it was going to be a very dense movie. I knew I didn't fully grasp everything out of the first one because I found it kind of dry until I watched one of those like recap videos. Hey, this is the lore behind everything. This is how it ties into the books. This is what you might have missed, and like giving me that grander picture, and then me going back and be like, oh fuck yeah, this is sick.
I kind of like the idea of like having to like it. There's a lot of different kinds of movies, and I kind of like the idea of like this having to have a little bit more, like having to get that additional context from it. Now it's crazy to say like I watched a 3-hour movie and then I'm going to watch a 30-minute YouTube video on top of it to like gain a.
Well, the problem too is like,
you know,
yeah, sure, there might be a 30-minute YouTube video out there that satisfies you, but you're going to go through like 2 or 3 other 30-minute YouTube videos trying to find the one that explains it the way that you vibe with.
100%. All right, let's get into some summer blockbusters, shall we, boys?
Uh-oh.
So, Dave, you want to go ahead and pull up that list real quick? So we have a list here from Fandango. Fandango did a survey of over 2,000 people about the top 10 summer blockbuster list of all time. And I want to take a look at it. I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. So, initial thoughts looking at the list. Do we like it, dislike it?
So obviously the list is stating number 1, Jurassic Park, number 2, Avengers Endgame, 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark, 4, A New Hope, 5, Empire Strikes Back, 6, The Dark Knight, 7, Return of the Jedi, 8 Avengers Infinity War, 9 Avengers, and 10 Independence Day.
So are there any of the 10 that you take no issue with?
I mean,
No issue with Avengers.
I don't think I have an issue with any of them. Essentially being here. I think there are other movies that we could talk about that like could also be in this list, but I don't think any of these movies have anything that I would say do not deserve to be on this list.
Let me tell you what I take issue with. There is too much Marvel on here. That is all the same. And there's too much Star Wars on here.
Well, one, you're not a Star Wars guy. And the cultural significance of every single one of these movies, the amount of marketing and the amount of hype and the amount of people that went to go see every single one of those movies is like historic.
A New Hope's an L, dude.
Is
not
quite literally one of the first like big budget, like heavy sci-fi movies to hit theaters and absolutely changed cinema and our just movie culture in general.
Like,
what?
Okay. So I think that's the whole franchise, first of all, not just A New Hope. But I think at least that just looking at Avengers, just put the Avengers. We don't need to eat up 4 out of the fucking 10 spots, 40% of this list just being like, oh, Avengers 1, Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War. Like what are we doing here, you know? Or 30% of the list, my bad, right?
It's 3.
It's 3 of them.
Yeah, 30%.
I mean, 60% of this list is Avengers and Star Wars.
That's an L.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'd almost rather they just say Marvel and Star Wars, and just those being like their own buckets. Because you want to talk about cultural significance and getting people to line up for the movies, Dave. Where the fuck is Jaws on this list?
So that was the one omission, which when you brought up the topic, Jaws is the original blockbuster. It is like the first movie to actually be labeled as a blockbuster for having lines out and around the block. Now, I guess I didn't do my fact checking, but this list does say top 10 summer blockbusters. So I'm not quite sure if Jaws was released during the summer. I do
Jaws
think
was
it was.
Summer, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah.
It had to have been. Yeah, that was the whole premise of Jaws was released on June 20th, 1975.
Like the first day of summer.
Yeah.
Like it is quite literally like the summer movie.
Yeah.
Like the rest of these, you could watch at any time of the year. I understand they came out in the summer, but this dropped in the summer and is very much a summer movie.
Yeah. So that was definitely the one glaring omission that's not on this list. However, like I look at this list and there's nothing that I would also say like doesn't deserve to be on this list.
But I'm taking one of these Marvel or one of these Star Wars movies off of here. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the best Terminator movie. That should be on this list.
I mean, was it?
And it's a survey, so like, it's not a blockbuster.
I said, was it? I mean, I was a child, or was I? I wasn't alive.
Brother, it's like, yeah, it's a blockbuster. Worldwide gross of 520 million. That's in 1991. That could be inflated. I don't know. It doesn't list if it's inflated gross based on today's numbers, but 520 million. So like it's not going to do what fucking like. So I don't know if this list is like when they're saying blockbusters, it's like where people rate doing their surveys based on just money made. But I still think that like
if it was on money made, they wouldn't need to survey it though.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're being asked to factor that heavily.
Like where you say it's a survey, I'm assuming these are just like, this is the top 10 summer movies that came out that people were like really clamoring over.
Yeah, like not having Jaws on this is definitely the biggest L. But like when I look at like a list of like, so I have like Entertainment Weekly up here, and they have a list of the top 30 best overall summer blockbusters. And I think for sake of conversation, there's some like stuff on here where I'm like, yeah, like that should be on there. Like T2 is one of the best movies ever. Like that should probably make the fucking list. It would make my list, I feel like. Sake of conversation, you've got like Deathly Hollows Part 2, Harry Potter, dropped in the summer. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, the first movie. Like those movies did a ton of business. Should be in there. I didn't even realize, like, well, so this is like tough. Like, where do you guys consider Saga summer blockbuster season? Is May where it starts?
I mean, are we going by
That's not
the
summer.
typical like summer? Like, are we going by actual like summer, or are we just going by like? Are we grouping spring into that?
I
mean,
well,
I
I think
think
May
that-
is technically where they start summer blockbuster
All right, well, I mean, that's not summer. So
because a New Hope is a May movie. Dave, just to throw that out there. Like that's technically where summer, because I'm pretty sure like Fast and the Furious is technically summer blockbusters, and some of them have come out in like May.
Yeah. What about Barbenheimer, bro?
Those don't meet the like. I mean, I guess like those don't really meet the criteria of what a summer blockbuster is to me, though.
I think people showed out for Barbie.
So, but that goes back to: are we just purely talking financials then?
No, I think there was a ton of hype around it. Think about like, people getting dressed up to go see it, all the social media hype around it. Like, regardless of how I feel about the movie, which I've voiced many times, I do think it was probably a very big summer blockbuster.
Cultural
I just put
significance,
those.
I think is a big part of it.
So summer blockbuster technically though is like, so like I googled when is summer blockbuster season. It is May, June, July, and August. Specifically, a summer blockbuster is a highly anticipated big budget production released between May, June, July, and August. These movies generally feature a lot of action and special effects, and are released when people are on vacation. So this is where I don't know that I think that like Barbie fits that criteria.
I guess,
like
yeah,
I
not like
understand
action,
what you're
yeah.
saying about like making money wise and like people wanting to see it. It was a great movie for the summer, but it's not what I would personify as summer blockbuster is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Fast and Furious still definitely falls under that then.
I'd have to check the release dates for all those though, because I feel like
I know the first Fast and Furious definitely came out in June because it released on my birthday that year.
I wouldn't count those like towards it. I would say anything like 5 through current is
Pretty sure Fast 5 was also a summer release.
Yeah, which that not making even the top 30 list is fucking wild.
I'm pretty sure Fast 5 was either May or June, if I remember correctly. Look it up.
Because even when you talk about the Marvel stuff, like they don't have Spider-Man on here, like the original Tobey Maguire one. You don't have you don't have the Tom Holland ones. Like that's what I'm saying. Just put Marvel as like any Marvel movie released in the summer is going to be in your top 10 summer blockbusters instead of eating up 4 out of the 10 spots, right?
Yeah.
Once again, cultural significance. There's no cultural significance with any of the Tom Holland Spider-Man. However, the Avengers movie, the first full team up of this Avengers team, taken 5 years to get to. Infinity War and Endgame were the culmination of 10 years worth of cinema, leading to a final fight and a final story that had taken 20 plus movies to get to.
I don't totally disagree with you on that, Dave, but 25. Sorry, I'm just reading this list to see if I'm missing something.
Does Top Gun count? I don't know when that came out.
It does count. It's included on it is a summer block. But I don't know if that, like when you talk about cultural significance,
that's Dave's definition. That's not necessarily what they went by.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like Jaws is definitely the most glaring. Like there's other like that's the one non-argument that can be made to me is Jaws.
Right. I agree.
Like I fully agree with like for me Independence Day 100% should be on here. Like that is a summer blockbuster through and through. I think like Jurassic Park should be on here. Like that's 100%. But like everything else on here is just like franchise stuff. Like, well, granted, Jurassic World is
Well,
a
hold on. No,
franchise,
I
but
think The
like
Dark Knight was definitely huge, though. No,
it is. I'm not saying
Big.
these movies aren't big. Um,
I'm just saying, like, in terms of like, if you want to talk about cultural impact, like all the hype that came around it, like it was definitely successful. Like, it's still a great movie today. Like,
it dropped the heart of the summer.
rewatchability is probably a huge part too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it dropped in the heart of the summer. I agree with that. Mid July.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Dave, which one's better, Empire or New Hope?
Empire.
So does it annoy you that it's ranked behind it on this list? No. What about Return?
Empire.
Yeah. I think it's weird that New Hope is ranked higher than both of those. When I'm not a fan, but I think like the other two are better.
Why?
I just like for me when I have watched them the couple of times that I've watched them, that's the one that I find the most boring. Personally. Am I wrong on that?
Yes.
Okay. What happens in New Hope? What's the biggest significance in New Hope that I'm forgetting?
I mean, just the creation of the movie is essentially just it's the
But I'm talking about
birth
like
of
what's
the Star
plot?
Wars universe.
You get the cool shit in the other two.
Yeah, that's story development.
Yeah, doesn't mean it's not boring, dude. Dante thought fucking Horizon was boring because it's story development.
I was gonna say, you guys debating this actually sounds more like when we were talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the newest one.
Yeah. Well, I would also say that's not the best of the 4 of the movies out either. Yeah, I don't know. I just would like to have seen a little bit more diversity, I guess, on this survey. Like, I think they should have just said you can only select X amount of Marvel movies or X amount of Star Wars movies to give you a more diversified list. Like, put some type of parameters on your survey so you're able to get a little bit more variation on there. Other than like, I just feel like if you put a list up of a bunch of blockbusters and you list every single Marvel movie, people are gonna just click on all the Marvel movies because like they're the most modern day relevant movies to us. And that completely takes away from Jaws, which came out in 1975, and how it's like the impact I think it had. Like that should be number 1 on the list, quite frankly, to me. Like not 10, not 5. Like it should be number 1.
Yeah.
We all agree.
Yeah.
With your fun.
Thank you. You're really offended by that New Hope thing, though.
Not in the slightest.
I am an authority on most things Star Wars.
I just wanted to get you to talk about Star Wars.
Maybe me and Dante will just do a group watch, dude. We'll bang out.
Don't volunteer me for that.
We'll bang out. We'll do the thing where we go on the Oculus and we go into the theater.
Why do we have to go into Oculus for that?
Well, because we're not going to see these in the theater otherwise. So like, we go into Oculus, we sit down in the theater, and we watch the Star Wars movies like we were there for the first time.
It will actually be like I was there for the first time because I've never watched any of them.
It's crazy.
You're not missing anything with the original trilogy, dude. That thing kind of sucks.
Yeah, feel that.
Prequels all the way, dude. And the latest trilogy over all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That Last Jedi. Shit.
Gonna have to put a trigger warning right before this.
I don't even remember the name of the other one, dude. What's the 3 latest ones?
Force Awakens, Last Jedi.
What's the last one?
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Is that Leia ghost or is that Leia dead? Which one?
Dead.
Dead. Okay. Cool. Trying to remember what happened. How do you guys feel about Crazy Taxi?
Oh, I did see that they're rebooting that, and I'm hyped for it.
Like,
Dave, you a Crazy Taxi guy?
they're rebooting the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be an open world multiplayer.
Yeah, large scale open world multiplayer.
I loved playing it on like the arcade game with like in the arcade with the wheel, and then I
Yeah.
did play quite a lot of it. I think on like PS2 as well.
You know what I really did like? The Simpsons remake of it.
Road
Thought
Rage.
that we've done this before, dude.
Did we?
Yeah, because I think they're remaking that game, and we talked about this. That
No, didn't we actually? Now I'm starting to remember it, but didn't we discover that like it was one person trying to remake it and they never got that far in development?
maybe.
Yeah.
But I just know that you've at some point been like, you know what I loved? Simpsons Road Rage.
Simpsons Hit and Run.
Same shit.
I mean, I think it was a great game for its time, and it was a lot of fun. I don't think that it would translate to today's gaming environment very well.
If you don't think if you have a timed map, right? Like if you're in a multiplayer game and it's say like a 10-minute timed thing, who can make the most money like doing like cab rides for people. Like that just sounds like chaos to me.
And also, I think in the modern world, they'll expand on the concept and there'll be more to it than just that.
Maybe.
It'll be Uber.
But like, how many
Sure.
different timed runs of this game do you think you could do, like sitting down, and then over the course of like 3 or 4 days, like at what point does that just like you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over?
Yeah, I think
It all
that's
depends
where
on how they design it, though.
yeah, like I think that's what like to Dante's point, like there's got to be other stuff. Like I imagine there's going to be upgrades to your taxi, like reasons that you're making money. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you're opening up a fleet of taxis. You know, maybe you can eventually develop your own app.
Oh, now I'm a taxi tycoon, or I'm the guy that takes down Uber.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just trying to become a conglomerate to reinvent the car service game.
Bro.
Maybe
I'm
you're a
for it.
limo driver and like those pay out way more, but your car drives way less. Like I don't know.
Yeah, you know, maybe people hop in your cab and they want you to race somebody.
Maybe you have to deal with somebody trying to like rob you while
Ooh.
while driving them through the city.
See? Yeah, this I like this.
I think making it an online like the world has to be really cool, right? It has to be like a dense city, like that can't all just look cookie cutter, like same like grid streets. Like I think there's got to be like diversity in the way that it looks. And then also I think that adding in the multiplayer aspect, you have to have fun game modes, definitely, for it to work.
I mean, multiplayer definitely adds in replayability though. So like I'm open to the idea of it. Obviously, I'd have to see more of what they do with it before I'm fully sold on it, but I'm excited for it. And I think price point is also probably a huge part of it too. Is like if they release this as like a $60 game, like probably not.
Well,
all the same
it's supposed to be
for
a
it, you know what I mean?
AAA title, so it's being made by a major platform, so it's probably going to be like $50 to $70. But
Then I wait to see them make it worth that.
That's an out.
like that's too
Now
much.
that-
I agree. Like that's too much.
I mean, that honestly just means there's more depth to the game. I think if it's coming out at that price point from a major development studio, like they're not just going to release out an arcade game and be like, "Yeah, give us $60."
Absolutely nothing that you just said has like any sort of like factor relevance. I feel like over the last 5 years of AAA releases,
Well,
everything
call me a
is
fucking idiot without calling me a fucking idiot, huh?
I mean,
I'll call you a
everything has
fucking
been
idiot.
released before it's finished with like little to no substance to it, just to milk as much money as possible as quickly as possible.
Hey, as long as
People
it's
buy
not
Call
EA,
of Duty
right?
every year, and like to your point, Madden every year for $70 to get like the like new rosters and like some like new like touched up like graphics, and they sell you on some new mechanic that they've added into it.
I mean, but even a game like Madden, it's good on its own. Does it make sense that they keep re-releasing the same game every year and charging you the $60 or $70? Probably not. But like, if it was the first time it was coming out, you would love it.
Yeah. No, you're right. If I had never played a football game in my 35 years of life, and then like they just randomly came out with, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I would really like that. Or like if I had never played a first person shooter ever, and all of a sudden they just dropped this first person shooter on me, I'd be like, wow, this is like reinventing the wheel.
My whole point is they're not bad games. It's just they keep going back to the well on the same shit, and so now it's getting dry. Whereas this is a whole brand new thing. So like I'm not gonna write it off right away.
It's a brand new thing, but it isn't at the same time. I feel like because like we've had open world racing games at this point. Like
This
there's
isn't a racing game though.
but in premise it is. You're racing to
And even then, to the
funds.
same argument of like Madden or Call of Duty, there isn't that much saturation with open world racing games, anyways. Like outside of Forza Horizon, we don't really have much else.
I think I've played a game called Need for Speed before, Dante.
Nah, those aren't that great though.
But two different things though. And I'd say Crazy Taxi is going to be closer to Need for Speed than it is to Forza Horizon.
Sure, but you know, it's different on a game built as a racing game versus a game that's coming from an arcade style game and going to be more around that concept, I feel.
I think in a way, Crazy Taxi would have made more sense if, you know how like Fortnite now, you can like, they allow you to use their engine to build games within it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you can like build games within the Fortnite engine. And that's like a feature they give you.
Well, they do like the creative map, right? Like,
no, you can create full
That's
games
more
in it.
what? So
Yeah.
it's like Roblox?
In a way, I guess. I don't really know what Roblox is, so I'm just going to agree.
You never played Dress to Impress?
No idea what that is.
I've never played Roblox either, and I don't fully understand it. All I know is that Roblox is not one single game, which I recently found that out.
Yeah, like Fortnite, you can like build like very good games within Fortnite. Like they've even like when the whatever the all the way up, what was that game called?
Only Up.
Only Up. Like they built like that within not that exact game, but people rebuilt that within Fortnite.
I remember watching the streams. Yeah.
But I guess my point is if like I feel like if like Grand Theft Auto gave you those abilities and you were able to just build Crazy Taxi within Grand Theft Auto, it would essentially like make more sense to me than just releasing it as a standalone game.
Technically, you probably can with all these fucking custom servers they have for Grand Theft Auto.
I think Dante's just biased around this game so that he can win driving.
Hey, I didn't even expect it to have wheel support, but
well, I was going to say,
that's a plus.
Dante, isn't that the issue with a lot of these racing games is that they don't have wheel support?
Most of the arcade style ones don't know.
Isn't that stupid? Like, I don't understand why.
Like for example, like GTA, like a lot of people love driving in that. It doesn't have wheel support.
But like GTA has other mechanics that aren't driving. But any game that's just strictly driving mechanics, like what was that game I sent you that was like that simulator, like off-road, like.
So that's a little different, right? That was the Mud Runner game, right?
Yeah.
That one does have wheel support. It just doesn't support my wheel.
What the fuck does that mean? Like why? Like what's why are they racist against wheels?
Because a lot of these companies, like if they want to just throw in wheel support, it'll just be Logitech and Thrustmaster support, and they won't support anything else because they don't want to put the effort towards it.
But like, what's different about your wheel?
My wheel is, I guess, not like a mainstream thing. I don't fucking know.
So you bought it on like Wish?
No, I didn't buy it on Wish.
Like it's just
like it's a very popular wheel now, but like it's still a very newish company that really only started doing like any of the like racing equipment stuff like 2-3 years ago. So they're still pretty new in the game. And so for that reason, a lot of games outside of like the simulation style games don't natively support it. And you usually have to do a lot of workarounds to get it to work in those games.
Are all of your parts to your rig all the same brand?
No.
So what's your shifter?
My shifter is Thrustmaster.
That makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah. What are your pedals?
My pedals and my wheelbase are Moza.
Okay. Are there
And
any other
then
parts that I'm missing?
I also have a dash on there that's Moza. I use my Stream Deck as a button box, and then my handbrake is what's it called? Simucube.
How about your window? Up
What?
Yeah.
That would be mapped on my button box on the Steam Deck.
Do
There's
you
Stream Deck.
is that also on? Is your rear defrost on that too?
Most games you can't map that. If I play American Truck Simulator, though, probably.
Are you not playing that?
I've played it here and there. Especially this company, Moza, they just dropped an actual truck wheel, and I've been curious to pick that up. But later in the year, they're also supposed to add like a blinker and a wiper stock that you can add on, and I wanna get it with all that. That'll be sick.
I think Truck Simulator is the best car game.
It's definitely one of the more chill ones. Like if you want to just hop in and fucking cruise, it's sick. But the thing I didn't understand about that game when I first got it is that each state is an expansion pack that you have to buy separately.
Oh, so like if you want to drive cross country, like how much money do you have to spend?
As of right now, and they don't have the full country yet. I think they only have about 50 or 60% of the country. If you want all the states, it's like $180.
Are they just using like Google Maps to like build the worlds? Like what do they do?
No, they're actually developing out each map state by state.
So if you drive like Massachusetts, are you driving actual roads in Massachusetts?
Massachusetts isn't up yet. They're starting from West Coast out, so they haven't gotten to the East Coast yet.
Damn.
Yeah.
So instead of like the California gold rush where everybody was trying to make it out west to get rich, like in the car simulator world, everybody's trying to make it out east.
In American Truck Simulator, yeah.
Yeah.
Where the problem.
Yeah, because that's where the American civilization popped off, was the West Coast.
You know, the westward expansion, you know, the westward horizon.
In
Do
this
you
case, eastward, but yeah.
So like how far do you know how like what's the furthest out you can drive right now? Like what's the furthest state from California they have available? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head now.
It'd be
How far
funny.
is Montana? That's like Midwest, right?
It's decently far to the northwest.
Because
Yeah.
I think that's one of the farthest east that they have. That's like one of the newer expansion packs. I can't remember.
It'd be
I haven't
funny if
looked
they
at the
had like
expansion packs in a while.
the West Coast and then just Florida, but like none of the stuff in between.
So the reason they don't have that is because they have to have a way for you to get there. So they have to get all the stuff in between first.
You just drive a bridge.
You just get a loading screen.
There is a mod you can get for it where if you have all the existing expansion packs, there's somebody that like very lazily developed the rest of the country so that you can do like a East Coast to West Coast ride.
But it's not like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't have like a lot of like density to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think if like you played a modern like Oregon Trail, could you use your wheel for that?
My man, did you ever play Oregon Trail?
No.
Well, I mean, Lenny asking that question.
But I assume that's like horse and carriage. Like
I have.
Okay.
It's just steering through the fucking water, dude, hoping his axles don't break. They don't get washed away.
Might get too.
There is another open world racing game coming out in October, I think. Test Drive Unlimited, which I'm pretty excited for.
Remember Test Drive like 20 years ago?
Yeah,
that's about how long it's been.
Yeah. Didn't they also have an amusement park ride at Disney?
Test Drive. It's still there.
But that's right. That's the actual. That was based on that, right?
Don't think so.
No, it's just two different things.
Yeah, but this game's
been
gonna
on that,
be pretty
Dante?
sick. No, I've never been to Disney.
Whoa, I'm sorry, dude.
The fuck?
My bad. That's a sensitive subject.
It's trigger.
You'd really like that ride, dude. Like you,
No, fuck that. I'm not going to Disney.
you get to like
Oh,
go.
Disney, man. Been twice in the past year.
Just not going.
You go in this car,
Just
right,
forgot.
Dante? And then they drive you through the factory.
Yeah.
And you have to go through like a cold room and a hot room and do this other shit. And then they just bring you out on a track and they drive you real fast. Dude.
Sponsored by Chevrolet.
You'd love it. I think
I
you
mean-
beat the crash test dummies.
I
They might
can go
even-
on a track without having to go to Disney. I'm cool.
They might sign stuff for you. They're famous.
I'm sure I can find more famous people elsewhere.
What is Test Drive Unlimited really if it's open world across the country? Like, what am I doing? I'm just like,
Test
I'm
Drive
just-
Unlimited is an open world across the country.
you
Or,
said it.
I
You
guess
just said it was, didn't you?
it's an open world game, but like it's not the US. This new one they're doing is 1-to-1 scale of Hong Kong.
And it's just like you pick different cars and test drive them in Hong Kong.
Well, there's like
Races,
a racing aspect
missions
too,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Do you drive through that really busy intersection?
Are you thinking of Japan?
I don't fucking know, dude.
You talking about like the famous like crossing in Tokyo Drift?
Sure,
That would be in
Hong-
Japan.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there's something like that in Hong Kong. No,
Sure. Yeah. Probably. I don't know. They got a lot of people there.
all right. Well, do you guys have it?
Do you have it?
Do you have it? Taste.
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 Okay.
Did I get it that time? Or no?
You were a lot closer that time. Dave.
You were a lot closer, but also I just love the way you said it was like, I don't want to get left behind. Taste.
Oh, I definitely had to I was like a beat behind, so I felt like I had to speed through the word.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything interesting for the taste test this week? Because I don't really feel like I do so much.
I don't think I do.
I watched 3 movies this week.
Holy
Ooh, all right.
shit,
Dave's
Dave.
going to saturate the taste test for us
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah.
Pimp our ride, buddy.
All right. So, I mean, on theme, I watched Fast X for the first time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Momoa, baby.
Yeah.
Summer blockbuster.
The Momo man.
I don't know. I talked to a couple friends about it, and it seems like a lot of the consensus is that Momoa killed it, and I kind of just don't agree.
L
What
take.
movie did you watch?
L take, dude.
It was. I mean, I
L's in the chat, people. L's in the chat for Dave here.
for the most part, I don't know if I have anything like super negative to say. I did like a lot of the action. I like the story. I thought just Momoa's mix of just obviously being like a big Samoan dude, but like playing like a fabulously flamboyant Brazilian was kind of weird and off-putting to me a little
I
bit.
can't
Your
see.
issue was race?
I can't see what was wrong with the description you just gave. I think that's a great way to live.
My favorite part though, like of the movie, does like involve him, and it's a very brief, like 1 second scene. Which obviously, like this movie came out last year. I've seen nothing from it, and I feel like there's a very memeable and gifable moment of his that just doesn't exist on the internet. And it's basically towards the end, the final like scene when John Cena's character Jacob and Brian Jr. are driving with like that rocket car, and Momoa's character is on like that radio tower, kind of looking out, and then it goes in between the action, and then it just cuts to him doing that little ballet skip to his
Mhm.
car, and he's just like, "Here we go." Loved it. I think I rewound and just watched that 1 second scene like 10 to 20 times.
But I feel like you get that through the whole movie with him. That's why it's so funny. Dude.
It was so
Like,
stupid, but
Yeah.
it was like that scene. It was just like that. I loved it.
Dave, are you a Momoa man in general?
I
I think that's what he calls his fan base. Momoa man.
mean, yeah, I am. I don't
It's not
think
the answer I expected.
No, because I'm not. Quite frankly,
mean-
I think I hate the man.
that's really
It's weird that he hates him.
yeah. I mean, Like, so
I think it's weird that you hate the flamboyant Brazilian
I
version of him.
didn't mind him. I liked him in Aquaman, Dune.
Ugh, Dave. L's in chat. L's in chat, dude.
I don't know if you ever saw the show C. Good in that.
Dante loves that show.
Dante's never seen it. What the fuck?
Dante can't see, so he can't see.
And obviously, like his breakout as Khal Drogo.
Yeah, he's good in season 1 of Game of Thrones. He's good in Dune. Aquaman, he is terrible. One of the main reasons I dislike that movie is just Momoa.
I didn't mind him in Aquaman. I didn't like his character in any of like the Justice League scenes or any of like the scenes with the rest of like the actual. I thought it was kind of weird and off-putting, but in his own setting, in his own movie.
I think he's better in the second Aquaman than he is in the first Aquaman.
I mean, that's an Amber Heard movie that I would see. So
set your moral high ground.
Yeah.
She shits in beds. Can't watch it.
I mean,
She
I'm
doesn't
not.
shit in the
I'm
bed in
I'm
this
not
one.
going to set the bar there because I'll watch any Danny. So
Yeah, he bad dude. Poop is
So yeah, that was Fast X. I also watched a movie called The Boys in the Boat.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
Nope.
No, Clint Eastwood.
Nope.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Dante, look it up, dude. Prove him wrong.
Yeah.
Prove his ass wrong. Share the screen, dude.
So-
Put it out there.
The Boys in the Boat was basically set in like the 1930s, and it was the Washington, the University of Washington men's like rowing team, and it followed like their like junior rowing team.
God damn it. Lenny, we did this. I'm sorry to cut you off, Dave. We did this last time we talked about this movie. It's George Clooney.
Yeah, same thing. Same
Okay,
thing.
so you guys saw this, and you guys talked about this.
No, we didn't
see it.
We didn't
Oh.
see it.
All right.
We just know who produced it, but we don't.
So yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was good. I mean, it was a true story, and it kind of followed this team as like they got better throughout the year as a junior team. Eventually, like beat out their varsity team in practice and became the varsity team themselves to row in a tournament that the school hadn't won in like 20 years. To which,
So it's like D3.
sure, but
I was gonna say it's just like any other inspirational sports movie, right?
yeah, I mean they they win this tournament and actually gives them a bid to row in the Olympics in Germany, to which they end up winning.
Damn. And the Germans are great at rowing.
Yes, they won the single, double, triple, and it was going to be a clean sweep until they won, until they lost to the Americans.
Is a single person German boat called? Is that just a U-boat?
Bro. It's just you in the boat.
Ultimately, I mean, it was kind of boring, kind of drawn out, but I did enjoy it.
Dante was like super interested in that movie when it came out. I remember.
And it's funny because I never went to watch it.
Yeah, but like you were very like, because it was when Screen Unseen was first like rolling out. I think it was like
Actually, that was the first one.
Oh, I thought it was the second one. Okay, yeah.
Was it the second one? I think it was the first one.
And
And
then
we had found out about it because of that movie.
and then
the
Origin
second
was the
one was
next
Next Goal Wins.
Oh, okay. Then Origin. Was
Maybe.
the third. It's tough to keep up. See too much.
Uh.
Yeah, I just remember when like Dante was very upset he missed that one. He was like, dude, Clint Eastwood has this movie coming out.
Clint Eastwood, huh? Clooney, bro.
No, I know, Dante. It was the fucking joke.
Well, you know I'm dumb, all right?
All right. And what's the third one, Dave?
I watched Air.
I still have not watched that.
What is that?
It's the Nike Jordan
shoes.
movie.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean it's
like Mike.
Yeah,
I'm more of an Adidas guy.
3 for the bean.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a movie that I wanted to see like the day it came out. Being like, I don't know if I'd say I'm definitely not a full sneakerhead, but I definitely have interest in Nikes, a lot of Jordans. I have several pairs.
I've never owned a pair of Jordans.
Me neither.
Okay.
I've owned many Nikes, just never Jordans.
I'm an SB guy.
I used to collect those in high school.
Yeah, I'm an SB.
I don't know what that is. Like Payless shoes.
Nike SBs.
No, Nike SBs.
Oh, okay. I thought like SB was short for some other brand.
ESPN.
Well, SB
award
is short
show.
for skateboarding.
Oh,
yeah.
They're
far more fashionable.
Yeah, they looked way better than Etnies
or DCs, dude. DCs are obnoxious, man.
DCs are good.
I like the shoe, but like they were big, bulky, and then like that fucking logo.
Yeah, man. Rob Deirdre.
Got a pair of Osiris's.
Tell them.
I don't really have much to say regarding the movie. I thought it was great. I do recommend it. I mean,
great cast.
It's a phenomenal cast. I mean, so a lot of it is just kind of Matt Damon and Jason Bateman going back and forth. The development of the shoe and how to pitch it and how to try and get Michael into Nike, where he was basically very heavily against Nike and was for Adidas.
Do you think is Jason Bateman his real name, like, or is that his like stage name?
I mean, I think that there's a vast majority of actors whose names are stage
names. Yeah, like Mark Sinclair, aka Vin Diesel.
Because like, do you think in like school, like he like people are like Jason Master Bateman, like how do you think they were just making fun of him a lot?
He just aspired for the army. He wanted to be Master Bateman or Major Bateman.
Yeah, yeah. I think if he had have been around in like the times of people just like going around on boats taking properties, then you get called like the Master, right?
I knew we were going with that.
Wasn't that yeah, there was, I guess there's another way I could have gone with that.
Yeah. No, I like how you danced around it. That was cool.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay. How about Dante? Did you watch anything?
So I think I talked to you about it with Maxine coming out this week. I recently found out it was part of a trilogy. So I did watch the first 2 movies of that trilogy, X and Pearl.
Mm-hmm. Is it in that order?
Yeah. Which they both came out in the same year, but
are they
X and then Pearl.
Traditional horror movies, like slasher horror, or like what kind of horror are we
talking? I'd call it a slasher, yeah.
Okay.
The first one's definitely more slasher, whereas the second one's more of like an origin story. But you do still get some kills in that one.
So should I watch the second one first?
I think you could watch it in either order, although I prefer to watch things in the order in which they were released, because I feel like even though chronologically the second one takes place before the first one, I feel like there are callbacks in the second one to the first one that you appreciate more if you watch the first one first.
That sentence was tough to follow. But
yeah. I'm sorry. That was me word vomiting.
Yeah, I get it though.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Which one's better?
It's tough because they are 2 kind of different movies. You know what I mean? Like the first one is basically just this group of people go out to rent a cabin on farmland from this older couple, and they're trying to film a porno. And they basically are getting killed off by the the wife, versus the second one is basically the origin story of the wife and kind of understanding her character and how she came to be. And basically it's just like she had aspirations to be a star and kind of move off the farm, and when shit didn't go her way, she just kind of like threw temper tantrums to kill people.
Now, is Maxine a character from these movies?
Maxine is the final girl from the first movie.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Which, so that girl is played by Mia Goth, who,
You're a goth?
no, her name is Mia Goth. But she actually plays two roles in the first movie. So she plays the girl that's with the group of people trying to film the porno, but then also heavily under prosthetics is the old lady that's killing everybody as well.
And is that
Because
established in the movie, or is that just a fun fact from the making of?
so I guess, yeah, fun fact from the making of, but they kind of tell you in the movie that it's her because when she's reminiscing with her in the house, she shows her a picture of her when she was younger, and they're basically the same person. And the whole point is that she's like drawn to her because she reminds her of herself.
So it's not a duality of timeline thing. Like, that's not her in the future.
No, no.
Okay.
It's just more like, oh, you remind me of my younger self. You're different. And it's because the resemblance is so uncanny because she's playing both people.
And what does Halsey do in these movies?
I don't think she's in the first two. I think she's only in Maxine.
Okay. And do you think Maxine is now is she a murderer?
I don't actually know. Because she technically wasn't a murderer in the first one.
Well, like she learned from her grandmother or whatever.
It wasn't her grandmother. They weren't related.
They basically are.
It was just a stranger that looked like her like 60 years prior.
She's like, I used to be pretty once.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you excited for Maxine?
I'd say I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I have like super high expectations of it, but I think I'll enjoy it.
Do you think somebody would be lost just seeing Maxine?
I don't think you'd be lost just seeing Maxine, but I think there's probably a little bit more backstory to gain from watching the other two.
Like knowing why she's like running from her past or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched that Netflix movie, A Family Affair.
Oh, I was gonna try and watch that yesterday, but I didn't.
I don't find myself scrolling Netflix too often. What is that?
That's the Zac Efron, Joey King, and Nicole Kidman movie. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's coming out.
Okay.
Zac Efron's like it's like weird because like Zac Efron in a way is playing like a pseudo version of himself. It feels like there's definitely like references and lines in this that feel like he could be just talking about his real life self. But it's just a guy who's like lived his life in the public eye, and because of that, he moved to LA and never like made friends or anything like that. He's just kind of a recluse, actor because he's like a huge celebrity in like big movies. So he's afraid to go out in public because he feels like he'll just get recognized and like people will like ask for his autograph the whole time, things like that. And Joey King plays his like assistant who he's promised to help advance in her career by being his assistant. But he's essentially just abused her like verbally, like, and like never given her more opportunities for growth or anything. And she's getting like fed up with everything. And he ends up dating her mom in it. So who is Nicole Kidman?
I'm not gonna call
Sick.
you dad.
Yeah.
Sick.
Fun movie. Like if you're an Efron fan, I think like it's just kind of like it's him leaning back into those like comfort roles for him, like where he's just kind of like the funny, good looking dude like in a movie. And like Joey King, I feel like is a person who's been on like she's been in movies for a million years at this point. But she seems like she's starting to kind of grow into like getting a little bit more of like her own roles and stuff. But she's primarily a streaming actor. She did The Kissing Booth, 1, 2, and 3, all Netflix movies.
Okay.
Dark
You ever
Knight.
seen those, Dante?
I
Yeah,
think I
Dark
watched
Knight's
one of them. I didn't know it was a trilogy, but I think I watched one of them.
Dark Knight. I saw a TikTok today, Dave, of like them doing a sit down interview, and like Efron's like doing the interview, and he's like, yeah, he's like like 2 weeks ago, he's like, I was just watching The Dark Knight, and all of a sudden, like, she just popped up on my screen, and I had to text her, being like, hey, like, I just saw you in a movie, because she plays like it's such an like not like it's such a small role, like an insignificant role in the movie. She's like
Uh,
the younger version of the girl. What's her
Talia.
name? Talia. The younger version of Talia, like escaping from the pit. It's just Joey King. You
mm,
like see her face for like 2 seconds. You know, like it's not like a real big thing. But when you see it, you're like, oh, that girl. Like I know her. You know. I also feel like you don't get a lot of Nicole Kidman these days.
I mean, I feel
I
like we
mean, we
get
go to
enough.
AMC a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, is that all she's famous for now?
In my eyes, yeah.
It used to be being married to Tom Cruise, and now it's just like AMC.
Yeah, we make movies better.
She makes movies better.
Well, she says we, so I like to include myself in that. Me as a moviegoer, I am adding to making movies better. Yeah.
It is tough though, because like there's a decent portion of the people who see that and they don't make the movie better.
That's fair too.
Like the guy who
Like
fell
the
asleep
dude
in your
that's-
movie.
Yeah. This dude that fell asleep snoring for like 10 minutes in the middle of my Horizon viewing.
Like
But yeah.
arguably he was awake for the part where she said we make movies better, and then he proceeded to make it worse.
Nah, he didn't do his part.
Yeah.
Nah. But you know what? Every time we go to a screen unseen and there's that lady that's cackling at every mildly funny scene, she makes movies better.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this, but like I am convinced that there is a woman who's like she's gone to every screen unseen I've seen. Also, or she's just paid by the theater to be there.
She's the hype man for the theater.
She's like a built-in laugh track that's trying to convince everyone around her that these lines are like very funny.
Oh my god.
Because it's the same laugh every time, comes from the same area of the theater every time. Like I'm sure if we had gone and seen Fly Me to the Moon, there's probably not a laugh in that whole movie, but she was just cackling.
Yeah. There's definitely funny scenes in that movie, I feel like. Channing Tatum does comedy,
Because it's
right?
a Channing Tatum movie.
Yeah.
He said he wants to do part 3 of whatever that movie with him and Jonah Hill is.
21 Jump Street?
Yeah, he wants to do like 23 Jump Street. But they said that like I think they haven't been able to find a script good enough to do it. But he said that he believes like Jonah would want to come back for it.
I mean, we're good together.
Dude, the scene that pops up on my TikTok all the time is from 22 Jump Street, where they realize where like Channing Tatum's character has the realization that Jonah Hill's fucking Ice Cube's daughter. And it's the funniest scene to watch. Just like I'm like he just starts running around high-fiving everybody in the office, and he's like, he's fucking the captain's daughter. And like Ice Cube's just staring at Jonah Hill the whole time. Like every time he says that is another ass whooping like put on you.
Oh, that's great.
That scene in my TikTok, I stop every time it pops up and I just laugh at it.
Oh, it pops up that often.
It's like that's the way the algorithm is, dude.
Sick.
It just pops up with stuff. My algorithm the other day was trying to get me to go watch Get Rich or Die Trying. I haven't watched that movie in a billion years.
I feel like that's a weird one to recommend for you.
Well, no, because I'm very much into hip hop beef right now.
Gotcha.
So it makes sense. But it's like those ones where it's just like somebody's watching it and it's just their face in like the bottom corner and they're watching
like
or whatever. Yeah.
I've been getting way too many.
Yeah. I've got one for. Have you guys seen the movie Fall?
No.
Why does it sound familiar?
It's the one where the girls get stuck on the top of that. They climb to the top of.
Yeah, you made me watch that.
Did I?
Yeah,
sounds about right.
See,
yeah.
So I've been coming across all these damn TikToks, man, and like I'll watch the scene. I'll be like, all right, it's cool. I'll like it, and then before I move on to the next one, like I'll finally see the person in the bottom corner just sitting there, like watching it, and I will unlike it and then move on to the next one. But I feel like my damage is already done by pressing the button.
Yeah, they gotcha.
Yeah.
Dude, the person in the bottom corner is just never reacting to anything either. Like he's just
they're just sitting there.
Yeah, they're just like they're just sitting there watching the movie, and I'm getting no reaction.
Wait till the
Like
end.
not
see
even like
what
facial
happens.
expressions.
Yeah, no, like I swear that's why, Dave. I feel like that's why you don't even notice they're there, right?
Right.
Like because they just like they're not commentating on anything. Like they're just watching, which I'm kind of fine with. And I'm sure if I watched them watch the whole like 2-hour thing, there's probably to it. But it's weird if it's like a clip on TikTok and there's nothing that they're doing to add to it.
Weird.
Because like I follow a Patreon like where somebody just watches like it does like a horror movie a month on their Patreon, and like they watch it, but like they talk while they're watching it. They're trying to figure out who the killer is and like shit like that, got into it because they were watching the Scream franchise. Dave, I want to apologize because I realized halfway through the taste test that we didn't play the game. But we'll keep that one in our back pocket. Yeah. Keep it in the tuck. I hope there's more diversity in this one. For Dante's
I hope
sake.
there's people I can recognize. Is it still just eyes?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
What's the defining feature that you'd be able to recognize, Dante? If you just put cheeks?
Just put a Batman mask over every one of them and see if I can identify who Batman is
by their mouth and their chin.
Yeah.
Stay out of Gotham.
Yeah, you have to find a way to put their voice into the Batman voice too.
I'm sure there's an AI filter for that.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
Yeah, like would it be like ass cheeks, Dante? Is that like the defining feature that you'd be able to recognize? You'd be like, oh, that's Iggy Azalea.
There's a few I'd be able to recognize right off rip, but I don't know if that's the masses.
Shakira. Or is it like Smile? Would you be able to figure out Smile?
That's all I'm getting? I don't know.
Or is there a genre of person?
See, the problem is, even if I recognize some of them, like last week with Willem Dafoe, like I might recognize them and still not know the fucking name.
What if Dave gave us the name and we had to pull up their because then it'd be too easy. We could just Google the name.
How about you do it right, and then Lenny has to stop listening, and you give me multiple choice.
I'd be fine if you slanted it more towards him.
I mean, Dante, you could try and put one together and put me and Lenny against each other too.
Oh shit! Do that. Yeah.
Or Dave, do it like Hangman style, where Dante can ask letters.
Okay.
To try and figure out what the name is.
Yeah. All right.
That's an idea. Like that's your lifeline, Dante. Like I can't get letter. I have to guess, and then you can ask for letters.
Like maybe I give you like a character name or a movie that they'd been in.
What's the Wheel of Fortune like speed round like at the end where it's like you can only pick like one vowel and like 5 consonants or something like that?
Fast Money. Oh, the final.
I think that
game.
might be right.
Final spin.
Yeah, like whatever that is.
Bonus round.
So like Dante has to do that. He could give you 3 letters and a vowel. Well, 3 consonants and a vowel, and like try to get.
Oh, you said 5 consonants. Now it's only 3.
Well, I asked what the Wheel of Fortune rule was. I didn't say I was giving you the same rule.
Okay.
And that's how we get you hints, dude. Can you
we'll figure something out.
Dave, can you put one up on the screen for us real quick and just let Dante try that?
Sure.
Whatever.
I want to see how this breaks down.
I mean, the first one, I feel
for you guys.
Yeah, we're dealing.
The entire game is hard mode for me.
Yeah, we're dealing with somebody who's mentally inept.
Bro, let's not describe me that way, all right?
How would you prefer I describe you?
I mean, just not that.
Hollywood Blind. Well, yeah, that's easy, Dante. That's easy.
It's even worse that I don't know then, huh?
All right. I'm gonna draw a little hangman thing. Well, no, okay. Like, so I'm gonna write the dashes for the name, Dante. You're gonna give me 3 letters and a vowel, 3 consonants and a vowel. Okay.
You know what I hate most about this? Anybody that's watching is just yelling at me through the screen right now.
Oh yeah. This one's all right, Dante. What are your letters?
M R L and E.
You fuck yourself.
I saw you writing a lot, no?
I was writing down the letters, so I had them. So the dashes are at the top. You have the first 2 letters of the name.
Oh, Elton John.
Yeah. There we go.
Let's go.
There we go, dude. See,
Hey, that did make it easier.
Yeah, we got a way to make that game easy for you, dude. Suddenly, that game's
Sick.
winnable, dude.
Hell yeah.
All right, so that'll level the playing field, dude.
When you told me I fucked myself, I was nervous. I was like, damn, do I have no letters?
Well, because like just get it when you had 4 and you only got 2 of them, and it wasn't like letters that had multiple in the. Like I was like, when you got to the vowel, I was like, if he says O, maybe that'll help, but that could have hurt you, honestly. Getting an E and L probably helped significantly.
Yeah, because I got the start of the name.
Yeah, but because I was like, if you get O, at least you get an O in the last name and in the first name.
Yeah.
Hitting a couple spots. Well, that's a little preview for the game that we will introduce next week, right, guys?
All right.
Level the playing field for Dante. Thank you for sticking around. I know we've kind of rambled on here for a little bit, everybody. But with that being said, we ramble because we want sponsorships. So in order to do so, we're trying to get our podcast name on the side of a NASCAR race vehicle.
Hell yeah.
We want to be on the number 9 vehicle. And we need your help,
race car?
dude. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's for Dante, dude. What would you prefer, Dante, to be on one of the like Indy cars or one of like the F1 cars?
I mean, F1 would be huge, but I feel like you can get a bigger logo on the fucking Indy cars.
Yeah. So if you want to see us
worldwide.
Yeah, Mr. Worldwide.
It's all right. They don't speak English worldwide, so let's just start with US.
Dante, how do you say our name in Spanish?
Por ellos con buen gusto.
Can you say it a little smoother?
Por ellos con buen gusto.
That got sexy there. That got kind of sexy. I'm into that. Put that on a t-shirt, dude.
Oh man.
Dude, can you record that and make that a little drop for us?
Oh no. We'll build a soundboard for you so you can just say
That's the intro to the pod every week, is just you saying it in Spanish, dude.
Sick.
I'd like love that. But if you want to see us get on the number 9 car, the number 25 car, the number 99 car, the number 3 car, the number 5 car,
30,
the number 26 car, 33, Trace.
I think it's appropriate for us to be on the number 69 car.
Takashi.
That's not the affiliation I was making.
He doesn't sponsor that car. That would have been a brilliant play by him, dude. He's like, I'm super into NASCAR. So I bought the number 69 car. Or he bought the 6 and the 9 cars and put them side by side. It's a team he's built. But if you want to see us do that, we'll be the number 8 car, so that where it says taste, we'll put the 8 where the A is.
Taste.
Yeah. But in order for that to happen, you do need to like, comment, share, and subscribe on this podcast. That's it for us here, though. I've been Lenny. He's Dante. That's D. Ray with the orange bucket hat. Flip it to red real quick, just so we can
Ooh, flex on him real quick. Flex on him. Gang, gang.
Bang.
Ski.
For those with good taste,